Want to go to a meetup? Let's hit the road. Good evening, how you doing? I am Chris Thompson and I am off to meet up with my boy, Mr. Jay Mora. Yes, that Jay Mora. We're going to check out the Pictures and Properties investor meetup. They plan on talking about some STRs, which is pretty cool. Not my cup of tea, I'm really there for the people. Last time I went to this meetup, I ended up buying a 3-unit multifamily property with a separate garage that I also rented out. And I did a Morby method on it. All right, so I finally found a parking space. That was fun. That truck is not built for the city. So we're gonna go check this place out and see if we can't meet some investors and learn some more about some short-term rentals.
We have a success story. We decided to purchase a build-to-rent in Florida. Why I think the story is really interesting to you guys here, even though it's outside of our market, is the build-to-rent, the builder is giving us some credits, right? And they have two kind of ways that they offered this property up. It's a duplex, it's in Ocala. They built the whole community, so the project manager, property manager is on site, so that's also good. We are not at the 1% rule. The property is about $400,000, and they have two structures that they were offering. One was a traditional traditional lender, and they bought the rate down to 3.25, and you're thinking, that's really good. The other one was a DSCR, debt service coverage, based on only the income of the property, and it was 5.25 was the interest rate. Now you'd think you'd want to go with the 3.25 if you can. However, the rent was higher on the 5.25, and I'll give you the reason. So both of them, you had to put 25% down. Fannie Freddie on the 3.25 traditional mortgage is how I'll refer to it in the future. The traditional mortgage, you can only put down, the buyer or the seller can only give you 2 points in, or 2% in concessions. So the rest you have to end up bringing at the closing table to buy that rate down. So that down payment and closing cost all in was $125,000.
All right, so in terms of identifying a target market to invest in Airbnb, I would say the single most important thing to do is to understand the market that you're looking to invest in. With that, I do a lot of market analysis. There's two softwares out there. One is called AirDNA, one is called Rabu. Rabu is a free tool. I've used it in the past, but I prefer AirDNA. It's a paid tool. I probably only prefer it because it has more validation and with investors in this market. So do I have a strong opinion? No, it's what I've used. It's what I've been taught to use. So this looks like a market analysis dashboard. I'm going to go through the deck, but if anyone wants to dive deep into how to actually do market analysis with an AirDNA, we can. So an AirDNA, we would pull up any market or sub-market that you're considering investing in, and there's a performance gauge on how the market is performing in its entirety, and that's based on investability, rental demand, growth, seasonality, and regulations. When I dig into a market on AirDNA, you can't take everything at face value just because not every property is your competitor, not every operator is your competitor, right? Located right in Shenandoah, what I really loved about it was it had the bones on the outside. It's not, in a populated neighborhood. It's got the mountain to its back that you can see, and it's, it's a cute cabin. Now, is it perfect for an Airbnb at face value? No, but we can jump into that. So this is a 3.2, 2,000 square foot on 3 acres. $435 purchase price, 3% closing costs, renovation and furnishings, budget of $35K. I did the work myself, so didn't have as much expense there as maybe typically. Setup cost would be $950. That's for a photographer. Quite expensive for a photographer, but they would do interior photography, exterior drone during the daytime, as well as twilight night shots when it's drone. So that's where that cost comes in. Do you have a question?
Yeah, real quick, the 35 for the run out and furnishings, how much of that do you think was furnishings? Or 32?
For me, it was about $9K. And in a typical property, I would say the good rule of thumb is to do about $5K per bedroom, and that would cover the common areas as well. So 3 bed, 2 bath, I would say $15K. is fair.
Page County particularly,
74.
yeah. Page County makes over $2 million a year on short-term rental income from Airbnbs out there. I don't know if you've ever been to Page County, but there's not much going on. They don't want development. They won't allow development to come in. So their revenue base, they are very, very happy with what's going on with although they don't like the Airbnbs, they are taking the revenue all day long. So if the regulations were to be put in out there, number one, the housing market would completely crash out in Page County, and they wouldn't have that income coming in either. The other thing to touch on with your the AirDNA analysis is the AirDNA actually includes the cleaning fees also. So this is $60,000 here. When you add your cleaning fees into your price, you're actually doing 75. So you're beating the market.
Correct. And that was
Big
just
time.
that was just due diligence, right? Like we're running at 90 plus,
Right.
At 90.
Even when you go into a vacation market, I think maybe Marco View posted something a while back. It was the Ocean City market, and they had done a vote. And it was only a 3-person, I think, difference vote to do Airbnb, to allow it or to not allow. I'm gonna assume it was the hotel lobby probably pushing it through.
Sure.
Yeah.
However, they lost, and Airbnb was able to stay, but like it was like a 3-person margin or something really small.
You raised a good point about regulations. I'll touch on this real quick. This is typically the submarkets that you'll find in AirDNA are county-wide submarkets and/or larger area-wide submarkets. What this would include is the downtown portion of a market that may have city zoning requirements that do not correlate out in the county and out in the mountains. So this 74, there are regulations in downtown Luray that would not apply to where I'm out of city.
And have they required any licensing?
You are required licensing in the county even. It's a business license.
Okay.
Super, I think it's like $100. You get a business license, an inspector came out, he didn't even look. Outside amenities and providing the experience outside just because it is a outdoor market. This was the porch. We renovated the porch, did a shugiban on the ceiling with a weed torch.
A what?
It's called shugiban. It's like a Japanese style of preserving wood where you burn it.
Yeah.
Look, I got a propane and weed torch and burns it on the concrete driveway. Threw it up there and lacquered it twice. Like, pretty simple. Thank you.
Down in the basement, we had to build in the walls, build in the bedroom. We had to add the like egress window to just kind of keep it all, by the book. And then add in like the kitchenette and everything on there. A big part of that is a big learning curve. So AirDNA helped us with kind of establishing we didn't really that wasn't, the numbers weren't as critical to us because it was our primary residence, but we did want to have a projection of what we could expect. And AirDNA was pretty spot on both occupancy rate. We get right about where the Frederick market is, and then the nightly rate for that. It's a smaller space. It's meant for 2 guests or 2 guests with children.
It does have a full kitchen though. Can you show all pictures?
Yeah.
So it isn't just a room, it's an apartment.
It is essentially, yeah. So we were able to it's listed as the entire place because it's private. There's no guest interaction with us at all. Put this kitchen in. So that was a big thing. We did get a photographer here to kind of illustrate the space. Another big thing was because it's in our living quarters, we wanted to set expectations as clear as possible. And the big thing for us was review management. So we had some ups and downs with that and figuring that out really early on. We haven't had an issue since mid-2023, I think. So it's been smooth sailing since then. Got our filtering in place. We did experiment with the 1-night stays. We only do 2-night stays now. But then also having filters on what guests can instant book. We had our most problem guests were the guests that haven't been on platform. and they just they aren't familiar with how Airbnbs work, maybe versus like hotels. So it'd be kind of like usually like the older generation jumping in, and then like expectations misaligned. They might not have read the listing, and the minute we just filtered, it's like you have to have been on the platform to be able to book. It's been great reviews.
So how long do you have to be on the platform before you can book?
It's like I think when I said it a long time, probably 2 years ago. Again, since we've had issues with that. But I think it's by like you have to have a 5-star review or a set review, or it's a certain number of reviews on the platform. It's not much. They just have to show that they've been on the platform and they've used the platform and are familiar with it, that they've received reviews that can stay too. We did experiment with that and had some issues with that with longer term rents.
That's what I was gonna ask. The
Yeah.
floor I manage here in Frederick, like half of them are people wanting to stay for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, and we get those requests, and it case by case we might entertain it. Like if it's maybe like a travel nurse or something just coming solo for work, maybe. But it is case by case. Like we've just had issues with that. It starts to turn into the long-term rents, and it's just that's more management on us. So like again, haven't really tweaked too much with it because it's just working now, and I like what it's doing.
So what's the maximum amount of
Our max is it's 6 or 7 nights, I think, and we don't really get that. It's minimum of 2, so we usually get 2 to 5 nights. But to answer your question, the other part of why we like that is because it's kept super clean. It's barely lived in. It's super quick for us. We clean ourselves for it because it's right there.
and you have a cleaning company?
Yeah, so you might as well just do it. But we also get paid for it, so like there's a cleaning charge in there too. So I'm like, okay, we got a good system down. The way we have it built up to like our own utility room and washer dryer, so we have. But we had 2 bad experiences very early on, and again patched it up. There was a solution to those problems to avoid them going forward. One was a guest, and it was a very problematic guest, kind of just kind of crazy on messaging, like messaging at 2 a.m, random requests.
You can always tell it up front. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna have issues, you're gonna know.
And we had and this was my mistake, we had the opportunity to not renew and let her go, like her 2 days. But she had her daughter with her, and I think her mom even came in every now and then, but she would be showing up at like 3 a.m. We had the cameras on the property, and we just closed that too. But it's just weird behaviors. But they weren't, just kind of like questionable in the beginning, and then it got like red flags started popping up. Unfortunately, it was after she requested middle of the night to rebook, and it was way past it was the next day, it was past checkout. So she was still there, and she requested to book another night, and we said sure, trying to be nice. Gave her an extra night, but because it was past that booking, I was like, go ahead and rebook. And then we will reimburse you the fees, on our end at least, and it'll just be another night. Trying to do the right, be nice, and won't do that again. She stayed, was late to check out the next day, destroyed the pots and pans. She was brand new. She's probably taken fork. It looks like she took a fork to them and was stirring it, and it was just, they were all destroyed. Her daughter got into a lot of stuff, I think, while she was out. So there was oil all over the counter. There was a stain on the bathroom floor. All stuff very fixable, but where we kind of went wrong with this is that because it was 2 bookings, the reviews, the way they work is you have 14 days to review a guest, and they have 14 days to review you. You can't see their review unless you leave a review, and once that time lapses, you can't do it back. You can't give a review back, and that helps avoid the exact issue we ran into,
Which was a retaliatory
review. We left a review thinking it would combine them for her on that first booking, just an honest review. It's not like we just butchered her in the reviews, but we were honest for future guests, because it was just absolute negligence and on her part, and just massive. She clearly is going to have issues. We noticed she had another bad review, so it's a warning, but because it was on that first booking, she didn't review for the 14 days, the review published, and then immediately she reviewed on the next one. I was like, this is a retaliatory review. Great, so I called, and I couldn't see it because, again, I had the opportunity to double review her. I did it because I'm like, well, maybe I'd feel bad if it wasn't that bad.
These are 2 bad reviews.
So I was like, I doubled down. So I called host support. We were super hosts at the time, so we had like the super host support. They tend to be, they can seemingly be more pro guests in those situations.
The host non-support.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you call like a super host, it's like the call center, and I was like, I know I can't see this review, but I know it's a retaliatory one, just based on what I said, and they're like, well, we can't prove that. Let's just see, and it was. So that
So
review,
the score went down. Were you able to? You couldn't get that review removed,
I couldn't get it removed.
and you just had to keep pumping out.
Yeah.
Well, that was another awesome meetup here in Frederick with Pictures and Property. Joe and Camille are just phenomenal people. Big congrats to them on their success on their build to rent down in Florida. And the Airbnb speakers were on point. Actually, some really good information and filled in some gaps that I really just didn't know. Still not my space, still not my forte. I'm sticking with my long term, my group homes, my co-livings, my college rentals. And I'm just not, just doesn't entice me right now to jump into that short-term space. I'll just stick to my path, stick to my goal, and keep grinding. Thanks for watching.